जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीर वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद अधार श्रीवासदि हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Jaya Gauranitai Shri Shri Gauranitai Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Radhe Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajacharya Ashtottara Shri Divine Grace Abhay Charnarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Samshita Prabhupada Ki Jai अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय ताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायस्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, text chapter 28, text number 12 and 13. 12. Yeah, so we are displaying 13 here. We can repeat 12th? Okay. Okay, let's repeat verse number 12. Iti svānāṁ sa bhagavān vijñāyākhila-dṛk svayam saṅkalpa-siddhaye teṣāṁ kṛpayaitad acintayat iti svānāṁ sa bhagavān vijñāyākhila-dṛk svayam saṅkalpa-siddhaye teṣāṁ kṛpayaitad acintayat iti svānāṁ sa bhagavān vijñāyākhila-dṛk svayam saṅkalpa-siddhaye teṣāṁ kṛpayaitad acintayat svānāṁ sa bhagavān
vijñāyākhila-dṛk svayam saṅkalpa-siddhaye teṣāṁ kṛpayaitad acintayat svānāṁ sa bhagavān vijñāyākhila-dṛk svayam saṅkalpa-siddhaye teṣāṁ kṛpayaitat acintayat iti svānāṁ sa bhagavān vijñāyākhila-dṛk svayam saṅkalpa-siddhaye teṣāṁ kṛpayaitat acintayat
iti svānāṁ sa bhagavān
vijñāyākhila-dṛk svayam saṅkalpa-siddhaye teṣāṁ kṛpayaitat acintayat iti svānāṁ sa bhagavān vijñāyākhila-dṛk svayam saṅkalpa-siddhaye teṣāṁ kṛpayaitat acintayat
iti svānāṁ sa bhagavān vijñāyākhila-dṛk svayam saṅkalpa-siddhaye teṣāṁ kṛpayaitad acintayat. Okay. Iti such svānāṁ of his personal devotees saha he bhagavān the Supreme Personality of Godhead vijñāya understanding akhila-dṛk the seer of everything svayam himself saṅkalpa of the imagined desire siddhaye for the realization teṣāṁ there kṛpayā compassionately etat this acintayat thought. Translation: because he sees everything, Lord Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, automatically understood what the cowherd men were conjecturing. Wanting to show his compassion to them by fulfilling their desires, the Lord thought as follows. The next verse: Janavai loka etesmin avidya kama karmabhi uccha vachaso gatishu naveda swam gatim brahmam. Lord Kṛṣṇa thought, certainly people in this world are wandering among higher and lower destinations, which they achieve through activities performed according to their desires and without full knowledge. Thus people do not know their real destination. Purport is there? It's a long purport, so let's read by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada, quoting various acharyas. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami has elaborately explained how this verse applies to the eternally liberated residents of Sri Vrindavan, the Lord's abode. One of the fundamental philosophical principles of the Srimad Bhagavatam is the distinction between two types of illusion, Yogamaya and Mahamaya, the spiritual and material state of existence respectively. Although Kṛṣṇa is God, the omnipotent, omniscient, supreme being, his intimate associates in the spiritual world love him so much that they see him as their beloved child, friend, lover, and so on. So that their ecstatic love can transcend the boundaries of mere reverence, they forget that Kṛṣṇa is the supreme God of all the universes, and thus their pure intimate love expands unlimitedly. One may consider their activities of treating Kṛṣṇa as a helpless child, a handsome boyfriend, or a playmate to be a manifestation of avidya, ignorance of Lord Kṛṣṇa's position as God. But the residents of Vrindavan are in fact ignoring the secondary majesty of Kṛṣṇa and focusing intensely on his infinite beauty, which is the essence of his existence. In fact, describing Lord Kṛṣṇa as a supreme controller and God is almost a type of political analysis, referring as it does to a hierarchy of power and control. Such analysis of levels of power and hierarchies of rule is significant in a context in which one entity is not fully surrendered in love to a higher entity. In other words, control becomes visible or is consciously felt as control when there is resistance to that control. To cite a simple example, a pious, law-abiding citizen sees a policeman as a friend and well-wisher, whereas a criminal sees him as a threatening symbol of punishment. Those who are enthusiastic about government politics feel not that the government is controlling them, but rather it is helping them. Thus, Lord Kṛṣṇa is seen as controller and hence the supreme God by those who are not fully enchanted by his beauty and pastimes. Those fully in love with Lord Kṛṣṇa focus on his sublime, attractive features because of the nature of the relationship with him, do not much notice his controlling power. A simple proof that the residents of Vraja have transcended lower states of God consciousness rather than fail to attain them is the fact that throughout the pastimes of the Lord, they often remember that Kṛṣṇa is God. Usually, they are astonished at his remembrance, having been fully absorbed in seeing Kṛṣṇa as their friend, lover, and so on. The word kama is conventionally used to indicate a material desire, or else a spiritual desire so intense that it becomes somehow analogous to intense material desires. Still, the fundamental distinction remains. Material desire is selfish and self-gratificatory. Spiritual desire is free of selfishness, being wholly for the pleasure of the other, the Lord. Thus, the residents of Vrindavan executed their daily activities solely for the pleasure of their beloved Kṛṣṇa. It should be remembered that the entire purpose of Kṛṣṇa's descent into this world is to attract living beings back home, back to Godhead. Two things are required for this: that his pastimes display the beauty of the spiritual perfection, and they somehow seem relevant and hence interesting to the conditioned souls of this world. The Bhagavatam often states that Lord Kṛṣṇa plays just like a youthful actor, and he undoubtedly engages his eternal devotees in the dramatic presentation. Thus, Lord Kṛṣṇa here muses to himself that people in this world certainly do not know their ultimate destination, and with an obvious touch of the facetious, he also thinks in this way about his own eternally liberated associates who are playing in this world like ordinary members of a cowherd village. Apart from the double meaning obviously present in this verse when it is applied to Kṛṣṇa's liberated associates, Kṛṣṇa here makes an entirely direct and pointedly critical observation about ordinary people. When applied to conditioned souls who are actually wandering throughout the universe his statement that people are acting out of ignorance and lust is not mitigated by any deeper spiritual meaning. People in general are simply ignorant and thus do not seriously consider the ultimate destination. As usual, Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa is able to say many profound and complex things in a few simple words. How fortunate we are that God is not a dry field of energy, a transcendent, effulgent blob, or nothing at all, as various people would have it. In fact, He is the most wonderful personality of Godhead, full of absolute personal qualities, and certainly whatever we can do, He can do better, as evidenced by His brilliant way of speaking. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So we are reading this wonderful pastime. Krishna rescues Nanda Maharaj. So it's a little complicated chapter in the sense that why Krishna did this pastime is a little bit difficult to understand. Even I was thinking, because just before this we have the Govardhan Leela, and after this we have, what's the next chapter? Anyone knows? 29 chapters. The highest pastime of Krishna, Rasa Leela. So 29 chapter onwards, we'll have next 3-4 chapters, the 5 chapters considered to be the heart of entire Bhagavatam, the most exalted. Of course, we are not that qualified to understand, but at least we can read whatever Srila Prabhupada's disciples have written. So we are just coming to the most beautiful and the highest 5 chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam, describing Krishna's Rasa Leela pastimes, the Gopi Gita, etc. And just before this, we have this chapter, Krishna rescuing Nanda Maharaj. So I was just reading a little bit for the class. So it seems that one of the reasons that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives is that just like Indra committed an offense, before this chapter we read the Govardhan Leela, and he begged to Krishna and he offered beautiful prayers to Krishna. So because he was narrating that pastime, so another pastime came to his mind, a similar pastime, where another demigod, Varun Dev this time, he also offended Krishna, and how he also offered prayers to Krishna and was forgiven by Krishna. So he remembered this similar pastime. So that makes little sense, yes, that when Shukdev Goswami was speaking, so he spoke about Govardhan Leela, Indra's pastimes, that how Indra committed offense, how he begged forgiveness. So similar pastime came to his mind, which is this pastime, that how Varun Dev also, you know the story, right? We have been hearing that how once Nanda Maharaj, on the day of Dwadashi, just after Ekadashi. So Prabhupada explains in the Kṛṣṇa book the whole chronology that Damodar Leela happened on the day of Deepavali, which is like the middle of Kartik month, Amavasya. And after that, the next day was Govardhan Puja. And then Bhai Dooj, this is Dvitiya. And then Indra, he started the heavy rainfall and Kṛṣṇa lifted Govardhan hill for 7 days. And then Kṛṣṇa kept the Govardhan hill back. And that time also the Brajvasis started discussing among themselves. There's a chapter before this, Wonderful Kṛṣṇa, right? Chapter 26. Yes, Wonderful Kṛṣṇa. Because the Brajvasis and Nanda Maharaj, they started discussing among themselves that who is this boy, this wonderful boy? I mean, is he great demigod? Is he Kṛṣṇa himself? I mean, is he the Supreme Lord Narayan himself? Who is he? So they were discussing amongst themselves. And suddenly, so the next day was Ekadashi, and the day after that, early in the morning, Nanda Maharaj was going to Yamuna to take his bath. So there are certain times, we are not supposed to take bath after sunset or before sunrise, or maybe a little bit before sunrise, but not too much before sunrise. There's some technical details. Like one should not go at 3 o'clock and take bath in Yamuna or Ganga. That's not proper. So it seems that Nanda Maharaj, he took bath at an earlier time, he was not supposed to take bath at that time. So he took bath, and the servants of Varun, they captured him, they arrested him. Because Varun Dev is in charge of all the water bodies. So they captured him and took him to the abode of Varuna. And so Nanda Maharaj and his friends had gone to Yamuna to take bath, and Nanda Maharaj didn't come out. So naturally they got perplexed where Nanda Maharaj has gone. So they started, and whenever devotees are in danger, what they do? They remember Kṛṣṇa. So Brajvasi started chanting, "O Kṛṣṇa, O Ram, O Kṛṣṇa, Balaram, please save us, where somebody has taken your father, he is no more here." So immediately Kṛṣṇa, he understood. Of course, Kṛṣṇa knows everything. He could understand that Varun Dev has captured Nanda Maharaj. So immediately he went to the abode of Varuna. And he went to the abode of Varuna, the planet where Varuna stays. That was so opulent, because these demigods are very powerful, like Indra's abode is very opulent. So Varuna's loka was very opulent. And when Kṛṣṇa went, he saw Nanda Maharaj already seated on a nice throne. And immediately Varun Dev offered Kṛṣṇa obeisances, welcomed him, offered beautiful prayers, and said, "Now my birth is successful, I could have your darshan." And really, he offered various ornaments to Kṛṣṇa, he worshipped Kṛṣṇa. And Nanda Maharaj was sitting right there, and he observed all this. And after that, and Nanda Maharaj said, "I'm really sorry, my foolish servants, they didn't know who is Nanda Maharaj, they arrested him, please forgive me." After that, Kṛṣṇa was pleased, and he brought Nanda Maharaj and came back to Vrindavan again. Now, 2 back-to-back pastimes. Just before this was the Govardhan Leela, where Kṛṣṇa lifted Govardhan for 7 days. So that also brought a little kind of, some kind of doubt in the minds of Brajvasis. Who is this boy, Definitely he's not some ordinary boy. And now again this another amazing pastime. So Nanda Maharaj came and spoke to his friends. You know what? What I saw? The servants of Varun Dev had taken me to his abode. Immediately Kṛṣṇa came, and the demigod, he worshipped Kṛṣṇa with so much respect. That abode was so opulent. So he described all this to his friends of Brajvasis. And they again started discussing amongst themselves. And this time the doubt further increased. No, this boy is not some ordinary boy. He must be really special. Maybe he is God himself. And then another man said that, well, if he is God, will he take us to his abode? So they started discussing among themselves, Some Brajvasis said, will he give us Brahman, will he allow us liberation, merging into Brahmajyoti? Some said, will he take us to his own abode, Vaikuntha? So like that, they started discussing amongst themselves. And then Kṛṣṇa understood their mind. This is what the 12th verse we read today. That because he sees everything, Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, automatically understood what the cowherd men were conjecturing. So he could understand what is going on in the minds of the devotees. So Kṛṣṇa knows, whatever we are thinking, Kṛṣṇa knows. Therefore, you have to be very careful what we are thinking of. So even after coming in touch with this great movement, staying in temple, if you are still thinking of material facilities, wealth, women, etc., so Kṛṣṇa knows what we are thinking. So we have to be careful. Maybe Kṛṣṇa may fulfill those desires and we may lose the actual purpose for which we came here. So Kṛṣṇa could understand the mind of his devotees, that they were thinking like this, whether they will attain, whether Kṛṣṇa will take them to his abode or not. So they had some doubt. So Kṛṣṇa thought, okay. So he thought, okay, let me clarify their doubt. So this 13th verse, Kṛṣṇa spoke, a very beautiful verse, which has double meaning. So this verse is applicable to the common men in this world. Because what Kṛṣṇa is saying, that people in this world are wandering among higher and lower destinations. And they have no idea about the real destination. What is that? The spiritual world, right? People don't know this. That is why they are wandering in this world. Tasyaiva heta prayateta kovida na labhyate yad upari. That verse in 1st canto, 5th chapter, where it is said that people, they are wandering sometimes to higher planets, sometimes to lower planets. They don't know the real purpose of life. They don't work hard for that real purpose of life, how to attain the supreme destination, the spiritual world. So same thing Kṛṣṇa is saying, that people don't know the real destination, and therefore Kṛṣṇa wanted to show the Brajvasis the spiritual abode. So after this, Kṛṣṇa takes all the Brajvasis to a special place. Anyone knows where this pastime took place, at which place? Akrura Ghat, which is very close from here. Anyone has been to Akrura Ghat? Yes, okay. Some of you. It's very close. Just maybe 4 kilometers only. You go to Atala Chungi and then you go towards Mathura from there. Just after 1 or 2 kilometers you can take a left and you will come to the place known as Akrura Ghat. Of course, Yamuna doesn't flow there now. Yamuna has gone a little bit far from that place, but that was the place where it's called Akrura Ghat, because when Kṛṣṇa and Balaram, they went from Nandagaon to Mathura with Akrura. So Akrura stopped there. You know that pastime, right? That when Akrura went to take bath in the Yamuna, what he saw? Same Kṛṣṇa Balaram he saw in the form of Vishnu and Anantasesh. So that's the same place where Akrura had darshan of Kṛṣṇa in the form of Vishnu and Balaram in the form of Anantasesh. So it's called Akrura Ghat. And also at that place, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came to Vrindavan 500 years back, he also stayed at that same place. If you read in Chaitanya Charitamrita, so first 1 month he travelled all over Vraj, all the 12 forests of Vraj, and after that he stayed at Akrura Ghat. And every day from Akrura Ghat he used to come to Vrindavan at a particular place and chant his rounds. What is that place? Imlitala. You must have seen in the Vrindavan Parikrama Marg, there is a Gaudiya Math there, and Yamuna is still flowing there. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to come every day from Akrura Ghat. He used to walk. Probably he used to pass through ISKCON temple also, through our Krishna Balaram temple. So same path. So he used to walk from Akrura Ghat all the way up to Imlitala in the Parikrama Marg. And there he used to chant his rounds from morning till afternoon. And then he used to come back to Akrura Ghat. And his servant, Balabhadra Bhattacharya, used to cook some prasad for him and he used to honor that prasad. And in the afternoon, he used to preach to all the people. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed ideal schedule for a sannyasi, that how he should absorb himself in chanting the holy names and also preach. So both things should be balanced. So that was Akrura Ghat, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally stayed. And you know what? Once Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also took bath at the same place and he didn't come out. Because he thought this is the same place where Kṛṣṇa gave darshan of his spiritual world to all the Brajvasis. So he thought, I will also have darshan of Kṛṣṇa here and the spiritual world. So he was not coming out. And his servant got very much scared. What happened to my Lord? Why is not coming out? So then he went and pulled Mahaprabhu out of River Yamuna. And then he said, my Lord, let's go from here. He thought, it's very dangerous now to stay here. We don't know what Mahaprabhu will do next. So then from here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Prayag, Allahabad, Prayag. And there he instructed Rupa Goswami at the Dashashwamedha Ghat. So anyway, coming back to Akrur Ghat again, to our pastime today. So Kṛṣṇa took all the Brajvasis to Akrur Ghat, the same place. It's also called Brahmarad. And made them to take bath. And when they took bath, you will see in the next verses that they had darshan of the entire spiritual world. They had darshan of the Vaikuntha Lokas, and they also had darshan of Kṛṣṇa Loka. And they saw Kṛṣṇa himself sitting there in Kṛṣṇa Loka. And then they were absolutely convinced that yes, we are, we'll also go there to Supreme Abode. But then they realized that this place where we are, that is not different from the place that we saw inside water. So that is another great lesson we learn from here, that actually we may think that this is an ordinary place, Vrindavan from external vision, same roads, traffic, and same buildings may look like ordinary place, same trees. But the Brajvasis, they also had little bit doubt like that, where will we go after our death, or whether Kṛṣṇa will take us back to spiritual world or not. But ultimately they realized that they are already in the spiritual world. Because in the spiritual world also they saw the same Kṛṣṇa and they saw themselves. So here also Kṛṣṇa was there. So they realized that this Bhaumya Vrindavan is actually non-different from Golok Vrindavan. There is no difference. So this is also one lesson we get from this pastime, that sometimes, like familiarity breeds contempt, or we may take this place to be ordinary. So Kṛṣṇa wanted to show the glories of this Vrindavan. He wanted to show to the Brajvasis, you're already the highest people in this entire existence. You're the most fortunate. So never think of going to Vaikuntha. You're already in Kṛṣṇa Loka. This place is not different from Golok Vrindavan. So that's another aspect we can say of this pastime. This glorifies Vrindavan, the opulence of Vrindavan. Now, another thing interesting is that, like we read in today's purport, beautiful purport, that the love of Brajvasis for Kṛṣṇa is so special that time and again they are observing Kṛṣṇa's opulence, great opulence. Like Mother Yashoda, she saw the entire universe within Kṛṣṇa's mouth. Time and again they heard how Kṛṣṇa killed so many great demons. They saw Kṛṣṇa lifting Govardhan for 7 days. And in this pastime they saw that how they saw the entire Vaikuntha, they saw entire Golok Vrindavan, they saw that how Kṛṣṇa was there. But still, the natural love for Kṛṣṇa was not disturbed. That is the greatness of the Brajvasis' love for Kṛṣṇa. That Kṛṣṇa's opulence does not cover their love for Kṛṣṇa, doesn't affect their natural, spontaneous, loving dealings with Kṛṣṇa. In contrast, let us take 2 more examples. It's quoted in the purport, that when Arjuna, when he saw the universal form of Kṛṣṇa, what happened to Arjuna? He became scared. He said, "Oh Kṛṣṇa, I'm sorry. Many times I sat with you on the same level. I slept with you on the same bed. I called you, oh Kṛṣṇa, oh Yadav, please forgive me. You are the Supreme Lord." So immediately Arjuna's love for Kṛṣṇa was overshadowed by the feelings of opulence for Kṛṣṇa. But did it ever happen to Sridham or Sudham or any of the cowherd boys of Kṛṣṇa? No. Although they saw this small boy lifting entire Govardhan, but still they always thought that he's our friend. They never changed their relationship with Kṛṣṇa because of seeing such great opulences. But Arjuna, immediately when he saw the universal form of Kṛṣṇa, his behavior changed. He again and again offered obeisances. "Kṛṣṇa, please forgive me." He's also pure devotee, but in comparison to the Brajvasis, they are the highest, Even Arjuna, we can say, was not at that level, But the Brajvasis, no matter how much opulence they see of Kṛṣṇa, they are never shaken in their spontaneous love for Kṛṣṇa. Another example, like Mother Yashoda, when she saw the universal form inside Kṛṣṇa's mouth, but after that, her dealings with Kṛṣṇa didn't change. In fact, chapter 8 is Kṛṣṇa showing the universal form, and chapter 9 is Mother Yashoda binding Kṛṣṇa. So just before that, she saw the entire creation in Kṛṣṇa's mouth. The next chapter she goes and binds Kṛṣṇa. You see? Rather, her love for Kṛṣṇa increased further. So that is really, we have to little bit contemplate on the greatness of the Brajvasis. That how pure their love for Kṛṣṇa is, that even after Mother Yashoda saw the entire cosmos inside Kṛṣṇa's mouth, but she dared to bind Kṛṣṇa. Just see. But on the other hand, when Vasudeva and Devaki, when Kṛṣṇa went to Mathura, he killed Kamsa and he went to meet his parents started offering obeisances. Oh, Supreme Lord Kṛṣṇa. So there, that maternal love, Vatsalya Prem, was not that strong as Yashoda Maiya or Nanda Maharaj. I'm sorry. Just a minute. Okay, so this is the uniqueness of the Brajvasis that we see here. A beautiful example is given in the purport that how a thief may be afraid of the policeman, but to a law-abiding citizen, he's not afraid of the policeman. A very general example is given. Just to tell us that how, if we love someone, we don't care whether he's in a position or not. Very important. That those in the Aishwarya Bhav, they worship Kṛṣṇa because they know that Kṛṣṇa is the Supreme Lord. That's why they're worshipping Him, they're serving Him. But the Brajvasis, they don't care, like Prabhupada speaks in a lecture, that they don't care whether Kṛṣṇa is God or not. That's secondary for them. A very important point for us to understand, because we're in Vrindavan, we should know the mood of Vrindavan. At least hear about that. So Brajvasis, they don't care whether Kṛṣṇa is God or not. For them, He is their intimate friend. For the friends of Kṛṣṇa, for Yashoda, he is her child. He may be God or may not be God. Doesn't matter to her. For Srimati Radharani and the gopis, he is their lover. So it's not that they're ignorant of Kṛṣṇa's position. They know. But still, the love for Kṛṣṇa is so great that they don't care whether Kṛṣṇa is God or not. Just like, let's take the example. Sometimes, if, let's say, someone becomes president of the country. But for his mother, that love will not change, right? Because for the mother, it's more important that he is her son. He may be the president or not, it doesn't matter to her so much. Similarly, for the Brajvasis, for Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, they don't care whether Kṛṣṇa is God or not. Kṛṣṇa is always their child, eternally. That is their feelings for Kṛṣṇa. So, 2 consecutive pastimes, but still their love for Kṛṣṇa didn't change. Kṛṣṇa lifted Govardhan for 7 days. Still, for them, Kṛṣṇa was their friend, Kṛṣṇa was their lover, Kṛṣṇa was their child. Now, Nanda Maharaj personally saw Kṛṣṇa in the abode of Varun, worshipped by so many demigods. Still, that didn't change his conception. For him, Kṛṣṇa was his dear son. And when he discussed with the Brajvasis, so there was some discussion amongst them. So Kṛṣṇa understood their mind, and therefore he showed this vision of spiritual world to them. Now this again intensified the love for Kṛṣṇa. So no matter how many such pastimes they see, Kṛṣṇa's greatness or opulence, it doesn't diminish the love for Kṛṣṇa, rather it increases the love for Kṛṣṇa. That is the sweetness of Vrindavan. This is one aspect of the pastime. Second aspect, that this verse is talking about the people in general. So there are 2 meanings of this verse. One is for people in general in this world. Those who don't know the glories of spiritual world, they think that this world is everything. So for them, Kṛṣṇa is saying that these are so foolish people, so I want to show them the spiritual world. Srila Prabhupada writes in Kṛṣṇa book that Kṛṣṇa is very eager to tell others about his spiritual abode. In fact, Kṛṣṇa comes here to this material world. Why? To invite us all back to home, back to Godhead. That's the purpose of Kṛṣṇa's coming here. So therefore, Prabhupada, I'll just read a few lines from Kṛṣṇa book. Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is always eager to give information to the conditioned soul that there is a spiritual sky far, far beyond this material sky, transcendental to the innumerable universes created within the total material energy. Kṛṣṇa is, of course, always very kind to every conditioned soul. But as stated in the Bhagavad-Gita, is especially inclined to the pure devotees. Hearing their enquiries, Kṛṣṇa immediately thought that his devotees in Vrindavan should be informed of the spiritual sky and the Vaikuntha planets therein. So of course he wanted to show his dear devotees that see the Vaikuntha world, see the spiritual world, don't worry, you're already there and you will go there. You're already there. That means he wanted to say that this Bhaumya Vrindavan is already Golok Vrindavan. You're already there. And don't worry, after this life, you'll again come to me in my eternal abode. And also through this pastime, he is instructing all of us, the conditioned soul, and telling all the conditioned souls that those who worship Kṛṣṇa, so for them, the destination, the supreme destination of Kṛṣṇa's own spiritual planet, Golok Vrindavan, is waiting for all of us. So this is an important lesson for all of us. So there are two angles of looking at this pastime. One from the angle of the Brajvasis, why Kṛṣṇa did this pastime. And another angle is for all the conditioned souls to attract all of us. Kṛṣṇa wanted to personally show the spiritual world. And he's welcoming all of us that don't waste your time here in this material world. Come back to me, come to my spiritual abode. And Srila Prabhupada writes a very interesting thing here, that whenever a mature devotee who has, Prabhupada writes, the mature devotees who have completely executed Kṛṣṇa consciousness are immediately transferred to the universe where Kṛṣṇa is appearing. So we don't go to Golok Vrindavan immediately. Where we'll go? First to another earthly planet where Kṛṣṇa is performing his pastimes. In that universe, the devotees get their first opportunity to associate with Kṛṣṇa personally and directly. The training goes on, as we see in the Vrindavan Lila of Kṛṣṇa within this planet. Kṛṣṇa therefore revealed the actual features of the Vaikuntha planets so that the inhabitants of Vrindavan could know their destination. So I hope some of you may have already heard this, but some of you may not have also heard this thing, that when we give up this body, we don't go directly to spiritual world. Where do we go? To another earth. Because Kṛṣṇa is performing this Bhauma Lila in all the universes, right? There are so many universes. So just like we have this earthly Vrindavan here, so in another earth, in another universe, Kṛṣṇa is performing his pastimes. So first, that devotee will go to that earthly planet, that Bhaumya Vrindavan, and there he'll get the final training along with the eternally liberated devotees. So when Kṛṣṇa performs his pastimes, there are two categories of devotees. So one, those who come with him from Golok Vrindavan, like Mother Yashoda, Radha Rani, the eternally liberated souls. And there are some who are promoted from different earthly planets to that Vrindavan, for their elevation to spiritual world. It's like a, what you can say, like a transit. And there they get the final training. Because imagine from here somebody goes directly to Golok Vrindavan, he will not know what to do there, right? So suppose somebody's Swarup is to be a cowherd boy. So he will not know how to relate to Kṛṣṇa. So therefore he is sent for a final training to a earthly planet. And looking at the behavior of other cowherd boys, he gets trained in that way. Or somebody is supposed to become a gopi, so he takes birth from the womb of a gopi in Bhaumya Vrindavan, and under the care, under the direction of the eternally liberated gopis, Srimati Radharani, Lalita, Vishakha and all the associates, that devotee gets final training. And then they go back to Golok Vrindavan. Just see, Kṛṣṇa is so merciful, What a wonderful system he has designed to take us back to his spiritual world. Kṛṣṇa wants all of us to, in fact, in first canto of Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada writes in one line that Kṛṣṇa is more eager to take us back to his abode than we are. So Kṛṣṇa is eagerly waiting when we'll come back to him. In Brihad Bhagavatamrit, you must have seen that famous picture. Have you seen that famous picture when Gop Kumar returns back to Golok Vrindavan, how Kṛṣṇa embraces him? Have you seen that picture? How many of you have seen that picture? Very famous picture, right? Kṛṣṇa welcoming Gop Kumar to Golok Vrindavan. And Kṛṣṇa faints after that. In Brihad Bhagavatamrita, if you read, Kṛṣṇa faints. Because he was so much in ecstasy that my dear friend, for so long, I was missing him. He had left me and gone to this material, but now he has come back. So Kṛṣṇa welcomes him. And he faints. And then Balaram and all the other cowherd boys, they came close to Kṛṣṇa, they chanted glories of his devotees, and slowly Kṛṣṇa came back to his consciousness. So Kṛṣṇa is so eager for us to return back to his own abode. But unfortunately, we don't have that eagerness. But of course, the devotees sitting here, they of course have some eagerness, otherwise you wouldn't have come here. But now, the problem is that once we start practicing Krishna consciousness, we lose our initial enthusiasm. Initially, we are very enthusiastic, right? When we come newly to this movement. But gradually, we lose our enthusiasm. So let's maintain our enthusiasm. And how that comes? By reading, by hearing regularly. We can maintain our enthusiasm in bhakti. So these pastimes, when we hear, we read, so we should again become eager. We should revive our eagerness. We should become more and more eager. That I also want to associate with Kṛṣṇa in his wonderful pastimes. I also want to go back home, back to Godhead. So that eagerness should come within us by hearing and reading these pastimes. So this is a wonderful pastime. Hare Krishna. Any questions, any comments?
I know that. I have my hand up. Krishna is kind and equal to everyone, and some of the demons got to serve as like a Mother Yashoda and different things. So why would Krishna kill all of us, and we'll realize how wonderful the spiritual world is, and not worry about having to stay here with our crazy mind and senses?
Yeah. That's an interesting question. That just like Krishna killed Putana and gave her the position of a mother in spiritual world, so why doesn't Krishna, he can kill everyone. See, that's the instance of very special kind of mercy, which is, which we cannot, everyone cannot expect that. It's a very, very rare thing. So Krishna has given us a common part to everyone, that you perform bhakti, you can come back to my own abode. And that's very rare and special case when Krishna is killing demons. So we have to first of all come to that level of a demon. Then only Krishna will kill us. Krishna will not kill us tiny demons like us. So it's not easy to become a demon like Aghasura or to become a demon like Putana. So much easier to become a devotee rather than aspiring to become such demons and Krishna and expecting Krishna will come to kill us. So much easier to chant Hare Krishna 16 rounds, assist in Srila Prabhupada's preaching movement, and that's an easier way to go back home, back to God.
Everyone can see Aghasura at your campus, right?
Yes.
So if you want to see a pure devotee, Aghasura, go to Guru campus.
Yes, thank you. Nice question, yeah.
Like you mentioned, you have to become a bigger demon. Remembering the Thakur Bhakti song, Gopinath Mamandivya Sundar, the first one, at the end he says, Pailo Charana Ashura Sakala, we know the Thakilo Goshi. All the demons have obtained your lotus feet, but me, I, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, is simply waiting, and I'm very tired. So please let me be the recipient of your mercy. Even the demons have received it.
Yes.
So that was just the thought.
Yeah, nice, interesting comment. So that's that bhajan, that Gopinath Mamanivedana Sunu, that's out of Danya, that extreme humility of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, where he is praying that, oh Krishna, please be merciful. You are merciful even on demons. So at least be merciful on me. So that's out of extreme humility, he is praying like that. But he doesn't pray that make me a demon and liberate me. That is not the meaning there. So of course that's his extreme humility, that I am even more follower than the demons. You are not showing your mercy on me. The devotee feels like that. In Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says that Jagai Madai hoite mui se papistha, Purushara Kit hoite mui se laghishta. In one lecture, Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan, he is quoting this from Chaitanya Charitamrita, and he says that this is the mood of a Vaishnava. This to be Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami was not artificially saying that. He was actually feeling that he is so low. So that is actually the state of a pure Vaishnava. He's naturally humble. And so Bhaktivinoda Thakur, out of his natural humility, is praying like that. That I am more fallen than the demons. Demons also got your mercy. But I am so fallen, I am not getting your mercy. Nice. Yes.
It reminds me of chapter 2, verse 47 of the Bhagavad-Gita. You have a right to perform your duty, but you're not entitled to the fruits of the action.
Yes.
So all this is, we're doing our duty and we're not entitled to the fruits of the action.
Yes, that's also interesting point, that when we do bhakti, we don't demand from Kṛṣṇa anything. So that's why Mahaprabhu says, na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye, mama janmani janmanishvare, bhavatat bhakti rahitukit. So he's saying, even birth after birth, that means a devotee does not even demand to Kṛṣṇa that, no, you must take me back to home, back to Godhead after this life. No. He says, up to you, I just simply want to serve you. It's up to you whether you want me to take back to your abode or you want me to be in this material world. Doesn't matter. So that's the mood of a devotee. Yes, thank you. Yes, Mataji at the back. Okay, one devotee here and then Mataji. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu, for the wonderful class. I was just thinking about what Prabhu said about 2.47. Perhaps it doesn't apply that much. Like Srila Prabhupada was apparently struggling to establish Radha Bihari temple. And at one point the threshold occurs and Prabhupada tells Kṛṣṇa, please cooperate, I want to build a nice temple for you.
Right.
So the spiritual desires, they become intense.
Yes.
And as the intensity grows, the devotee becomes more and more earnest in pushing Kṛṣṇa to fulfill. So yes, for material desires, perhaps 2.47 would apply. But in the case of spiritual desires, there are so many cases. Samudra Sen in Mayapur, he fought with Bhima only for one reason. That if I defeat Bhima, Kṛṣṇa won't tolerate, so Kṛṣṇa would come and give me darshan. So devotees are, so romantic. Bhishmadev, Samudra Sen, and many more. In this also, even Varun Dev for that matter. So for spiritual desires, I think the game is with Yogamaya, it's completely different. It's just a viewpoint.
Yes, you are right, Prabhu. That 2.47 is for the conditioned souls, that when they do activities, they should not bother about the results. But for devotees, such things, they're on a different plane altogether. Yeah, thank you. Yes, Mataji at the back. That's it, yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
I was just trying to understand, maybe you explained and I didn't manage to catch. It says in the end of the purport that apart from the double meaning obviously present in this verse, and I think maybe you touched on it, but would you mind just elaborating how was this verse holding a double meaning? I think he's talking about the materialistic people and also the liberated souls. I just wanted to make sure I didn't misunderstand.
Yes, Mataji, good point. So this verse, so actually I didn't touch upon that. Maybe we can just few minutes just to read this. So just like in many verses in Bhagavatam, it has double meaning. Like for example, when Indra is blaspheming Kṛṣṇa, so there's another meaning. The same verse, it can actually be interpreted as if it's glorifying Kṛṣṇa. So like that, there are many verses of Bhagavatam with double meaning. The 13th verse, so as I said, this verse can also apply to a conditioned soul, that they're foolishly wandering from one universe to another universe, they don't realize my greatness. Similarly, the other meaning of this, as plus, we'll just take a few minutes and read this.
It's in the last paragraph.
Yeah, I was looking at. So the other meaning is that the Brajvasis who are also wandering in the various forests of Vrindavan, so they don't know that they're actually my dearest devotees and they'll also attain the spiritual world. So in that sense, Kṛṣṇa is saying this. So there is, just let me read the exact thing. Yes. So all the desires and actions of my father and the Brajvasis are solely dedicated for my pleasure. Seeing me as a helpless child, they are completely unaware that I am the supreme God of all the universes. Wandering in this land of Vrindavan, they have no knowledge of the higher destinations. In this way, the Brajvasis are completely unaware of their own exalted positions as my eternal associates in Vrindavan Dham, which is rarely achieved by others. So in that sense, like Yogamaya and Mahamaya, so people in this condition, in this material world, we are ignorant of the spiritual world because of Mahamaya's covering. But here the Brajvasis are covered by Yogamaya and they are not aware that they are going back to Golok Vrindavan. So Kṛṣṇa wanted to also tell them that don't worry, you are already in Vrindavan and I am taking you also back with me to Vrindavan. Is it clear?
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Okay.
Prabhu, I had another question from the purport. It said that it should be remembered that the entire purpose of Krishna's descent into this world is to attract living beings back home.
Yes.
He said the two things, he displays his pastimes, display the beauty of spiritual perfection, and that somehow seem relevant and hence interesting to the conditioned souls.
Yes.
So my question is, Prabhuji, if you can throw some light on this. Sometimes when people are actually only attracted to the impersonal side, so they're impersonalists, they know there's a supreme, he's all-powerful, he's present everywhere. How can we help them? I have a family member, my own uncle, who is like that. And I fail to, whenever we meet I fail to try to attract him to Krishna's beauty. Like if I tell him, Kṛṣṇa will have this cake, he's eating the cake or something, he'll say, really? Kṛṣṇa eats a cake also? Yeah. So how can I actually, for anybody to help somebody who's not a personalist, but they're impersonalists, what can we do to help them?
Yes, a very good question. Sometimes those are impersonalists. It's very difficult to convince them. So we can try our best by talking to them about philosophy. Now if they are like little logical, open-minded, if we present our philosophy nicely, like 12th chapter of Bhagavad-Gita, where Kṛṣṇa himself is saying, when Arjuna asks the question, who is better? Your devotee or the impersonalist? So Kṛṣṇa answers that my devotee is better. There are so many other discussions from our scriptures, discussion between Mahaprabhu and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, where he convinces Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya that Kṛṣṇa is a person. We can talk all that, but beyond a certain point, we can't do much, because if they are hardcore impersonalists, it's very difficult. Just give them prasadam. And gradually, sometimes gulab jamuns. Prabhuji is saying yes. Give them a lot of gulab jamuns and pray to Kṛṣṇa that they may change. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, Mataji.
Thank you so much for showing the vision of the Brajavasi and Kṛṣṇa continuously. I would like to know the schedule of a person who is very absorbed. You spoke about the schedule of the sentence who is always absorbed what he's doing.
Yeah, I talk briefly about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's schedule, that because he also stayed in Nakturu Ghat when he was in Vrindavan. So every day morning he used to come from there to Imlitala and chant his rounds till afternoon, till noon time, and then go back for prasad. And in the afternoon and in the evening he used to preach to people in general and do kirtan. So I said that's an ideal example of a sannyasi, that how he should do his own bhajan, his own chanting and reading, and also preach. So Mahaprabhu himself showed by his own personal example that how we should balance both the aspects, our own sadhana and our preaching. Yes, that was my point. Okay, thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. No, it's Hare Krishna. It's all.